Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Quantum Sparks class. Today, we're going to talk about resonance, aligning your inner energy with your outer expression. So, we've spent several weeks talking about energy in general, energy and vibration. And one of the pieces that we haven't quite covered is the expression. First of all, what we said is that your energy shows up no matter what. So at the end of the day, your energy, in fact, always shows up before like your words and your actions. But there are ways that we can use our words and our actions to align with what we are feeling inside. So that just allows us to express the energy even faster to get our message across to anyone we have a relationship with, either personally or within our businesses. So let's talk about resonance. As always, knowledge is only potential. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Execution is the actual power. So as you go through today's micro class, make sure to take some notes so that you can go and execute after the program is over. So thoughts, emotions, and actions carry a frequency. People feel more than they hear. We've already talked about this in the last several mindful quantum sparks class. So we know the energy is already there. We're producing, we are putting out, and we are taking in energy. We are also the interference of the energy. But today we're going to talk about things we can do to express outwardly, even though your energy is always going to express itself as well. What we can do to also express our outward, what we're feeling inwards, outward. The emotional impact of an interaction can have a long-term effect on how someone views you, how they view your business, or how they view a situation. So positive interactions can foster trust and connection, while negative ones can create a lasting negative impression. Buyers and sellers, since we're all in the real estate business, don't remember necessarily the words you say. However, they will remember how you made them feel. So high vibration communication will help you close more transactions. Every relationship has inflection points. So throughout every interaction you have with a human being, there are going to be inflection points. That means places where your emotion from inside you outwardly express through words or actions. And we're going to talk about at the end of this how you can actually create a blueprint for your business so that you're thinking about emotional inflection points while you're marketing to people and also through the transaction process. Because those emotional inflection points are where you can gain trust, where you can spark loyalty, or there are also places where you can lose connection. So, first, let's just talk about love because this is an easy one to identify. So, love isn't just an emotion, it's a state of energy. It's one of the highest, it is the highest vibration that you can have. So, oftentimes we feel love, but we don't always express love. So, affection is the transmission of the energy of love. Affection is where love is made visible. It brings that internal energy into a shared experience with the people around you. But it's not just love. Love is the easy one to see. But it's also gratitude, respect, compassion, trust. All of these are extremely powerful when shared, and sometimes they're forgotten when they're not. Energetic expression in business includes compassion. So think about this as in your profession, what are the times when you really feel for someone? For example, um, working with them through a transaction or helping them find a house or helping them consider financially whether they can afford a house. All of that is can be extremely stressful. So we feel compassion inside for what that person is going through, but are we communicating the compassion? So the energy is within us. We are feeling the energy, but how good are we at expressing the energy? Same with gratitude. We may feel a super amount of gratitude towards our buyers and sellers, and people that we work with, but are we expressing that gratitude? Same with respect, such as working with cooperating agents or other parties to the transaction. So when you think about energy, as we said, the energy exists no matter what. We're talking today about the expression of the energy. So at a certain level, the vibration is going to exist whether or not you express it. But you can create quick connection with people if you take the bull by the horns and you become in charge of expressing that which is already inside you, the energy that is already within. What sometimes happens, this is a very delicate balance because in your business, you want to have a certain level of ability to control your emotion, especially because we are in an emotion driven business. Buying a house or selling a house, these are extremely emotional times for the people that we do business with. That being said, we are the ones that can step into the transaction and have a high emotional equilibrium, that we can see everything and not react super emotionally to everything. Well, you have to be careful with that because what can also happen is that you choose not to react emotionally to anything, meaning that you're not showing the compassion you feel for the customer and what they're going through, that you're not expressing the gratitude that you feel towards the customer, for example. And that can come off as indifference. Now, true indifference is when you truly have no feeling at all. It is the absence of a frequency. And that's why oftentimes it's been said that indifference is true evil in the world. People that just don't see or feel anything towards anything, other people, or anything going on in the world. So indifference, in true absence of frequency is indifference. But sometimes we have a high vibration, we have the gratitude, we have the compassion, we feel the love, but we're not expressing it. So it presents the same as indifference. Now, because you actually have the energy of love and you have the energy of compassion or the energy of um, empathy or gratitude, when those exist, it's never going to present exactly the same as indifference because you have the energy and it exists and it's going to show up in some form no matter what. But by expressing what you feel inside, you can create the connection faster with your potential seller. Indifference is not neutral, it is emotional flatlining. So, what we're talking about today is not true indifference, it's just the presentation that it can look like indifference when what you're feeling inside is not expressed on the outside. So expression links your inner emotion to outer impact. It creates a resonance so that you can build a connection even faster with the people around you, the people with whom you have a relationship. When intent and behavior don't match, people will feel a disconnect. So, in other words, you don't want somebody to have a feeling that there is some sort of disconnection because you're just not expressing the energy that is within you. The risk of an unexpressed emotion. Good intent not expressed can lead to confusion, distance, or harm. Imagine that you lose a relationship because your good intent is not expressed and it leaves the other person to feel confusion or distance from you. I also want to address performative expression. This is kind of the opposite of what we're speaking of today. Performative expression is when the actions or words lack authentic energy, which means that the actions or words actually fall flat. So, what we're spending time on today is focusing on your good intent, your good energy, the good high vibration feelings that you bring to your business and to the relationships around you. But one of the pieces to think about is in the world, there is a lot of performative expression, meaning there are people that present as if they care, they present as if they love, they present as if, but it is all performative. It is not the actual energy that they are manifesting. That's why, through a lot of the classes that we've done thus far, we talk a lot about intent. Your intent should always match the outside expression of what your inside should always match the outside. That is what we call energetic integrity, living and communicating in alignment with your internal truth. So, what we're speaking of today is aligning the good energy, the high vibration, but taking it a step further, not although the energy itself will always express in some form, we're going to actually express it on our own through our words and our communications. The reason all this matters is because we're in the business of resonating. We are in the business of building trust, loyalty, and influence among the people that we wish to do business with. And when it comes down to resonating, the little things make a huge difference. So, tiny aligned acts can leave a lasting energetic impact. A simple word to somebody that you appreciate them, or sending a note card to maybe a customer you haven't talked to in a long time. These little things. So, when you feel something inside, uh, you feel it inside and then expressing it, taking the action to the outside, to a note card or to a word or to an act or to just a note to somebody. The little things, these tiny little aligned acts, do leave an energy impact on the other person. Unexpressed energy has a weight in and of itself. So silence can carry just as much energy as speech. And that is for good and for bad. We all know that sometimes we have energy within us that we don't want to express because we know it's like sometimes everybody has a low vibration within that they feel. And so we choose not to express the low vibration energy at times. Uh, and there's an impact that anytime you're not expressing an energy, the unexpression has as much of an impact as the expression. And we all have an energetic responsibility. So it's not just about what you feel, but also consciously aligning your actions with what you're feeling inside. The outward expression accelerates your connection to another human being. In other words, people connect faster when they feel see when they feel seen or they feel heard and they feel emotionally safe. A genuine compliment, such as any type of compliment, just tells the other person, I hear you. And by not doing little things like that, you could basically ruin. Let's say you had a really good vibration with somebody for several weeks. Maybe it's a customer, and the simple act of not expressing your internal thoughts, your high vibrations, you could ruin a potential relationship just because of the miscommunication. And the miscommunication is the non-expression of the high vibration thought and emotion that is within you. So how do we articulate emotion slash energy? Well, first you have to identify it, then connect, choose. We'll go through each of these in more detail, express, and then observe how it affects the other person. So when you feel a high vibration, such as the important ones, gratitude, love, compassion, it's important first to identify the emotion. Before you can share the emotion, you have to know that you have it. You have to feel it. Number two, connect with your intent. Intent gives the emotion direction and meaning, transforming a feeling into a purposeful energy. Next, you have to decide how to express it on the outside. Maybe you can, maybe it's a word, maybe it's a note that you're going to send somebody. But how can you match what you're feeling inside, the high vibration, to what is going on the outside, to show the person, to connect with the person by taking a conscious effort to expand your energy outside of you. And then clarity and authenticity. Truthful, imperfect communication is better than scripted perfection. Authentic energy is felt, and it's even the simplest, the tiny little gestures make a huge difference. And then the last piece of that is to observe. True expression is not a broadcast. It's not a Facebook post to the whole world about how thankful you are to everybody for all of their business and referrals. True expression is one-on-one. It is a tiny communication, will mean more and last longer to the person to whom it's communicated. Let's talk about, we all heard this quote, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. We've all heard this quote. Well, how can we turn this into a business plan or a business blueprint? So create your blueprint for business growth based on emotional touch points, emotional inflection points. How do we do this? Well, first, you map out your client journey. And there are multiple types of client journeys. First, there's typically a client journey just to attract clients. So we have a marketing journey. That's for all the strangers out there who don't know us yet. How do we attract clients? By considering these emotional touch points. In other words, we're mapping out energy. How do we attract people to us by incorporating energy and emotion into our marketing? And then path B is the transaction itself. So when we're actually doing a transaction, how do we map it out so that at emotional inflection points, you're using those as an opportunity to gain trust, spark loyalty, or potentially, how are you doing nothing right now? Because if you're doing nothing, you potentially lose the energetic connection with the other person. So let's take a look at just a couple things before we wrap up. First, we have path A. I talked about emotional touch points in marketing. So path A is us attracting new business. Path B is for the business that we do get, the buyers and sellers that we're working with already, how do we create emotional touch points along the way so that we keep a really good energetic connection with the client. So, as far as marketing goes, first of all, you have to think about all the stages in which you market, from maybe your website to your social media engagement to inviting people into open houses, all the way into your follow up campaigns. So, like your CRMs, etc. You have to map out where are the places where you're attracting customers. So say 5 or 6 different places, and then think about how does the consumer feel? These are typically strangers. How do they feel when they are watching this advertisement or social media post? Or how do they feel when they come into my open house? And then think about how you can turn that into an emotional touch point so that you're beginning a bond through your energy connection. One of the best ways to do this is through storytelling, because storytelling is emotionally laced anyways. There's many of you guys have probably seen the recent Rocket Mortgage commercials, and it is all emotion. 100%. It tells in 30 seconds a story about family, really, in 30 seconds. But you can do that too. They are creating an emotional touch point for people watching that uh, advertisement because they want the consumer to feel a certain way because they're beginning the process of bonding with that consumer through energy. So, how can you do that? By thinking about each of the areas where there is an opportunity, you're doing a marketing outreach. How do you make the person feel a certain way when they see your advertisement or website or come into your open house? The other path we talked about is the actual touch points in the sales process when you're working with a potential buyer or seller. This requires you to break down the stages of your transactions and consider how does the consumer feel at that point, and how could I remove fear for them or make them feel better? How can I get them to a place of certainty or joy? um, how do I keep them excited throughout the transaction? Most real estate professionals don't think about each of these touch points through the transaction, but you have the ability to influence their energy throughout the entire transaction. So create your own blueprint. As you think about the blueprint you've created, you then have to ask yourself, where in the process of a transaction are you rushing along instead of connecting with your client? Because there's so many opportunities to build these touch points where the consumer feels so connected energetically that you become unforgettable, not only during the transaction, but for the rest of their life. You've created an energetic bond. Then think about, where could I add verbal expression of care, gratitude, and are my marketing and service touch points aligned with the energy that I want to be known for? Then create your rituals for high energy expression. For example, do you have a daily ritual of a gratitude touch? That is reaching out to people, maybe past clients, new leads, vendors, to send a gratitude touch, a text, a video, a note, to make them feel good, to create the energetic connection. Same with pre meetings. Prior to every meeting, do you set each, before you head into a meeting, do you set an intention and think about, how do I want this person to feel after the meeting? And what can I do to direct the energy to bring my inside, what I want for them, my intent, how do I bring that to the outside? And then start tracking your vibration tracker. So during calls or emails, think about when you're using high frequency words, because we've said through multiple Quantum Sparks classes that our words are vibration. And as you start building your blueprint, you're going to notice that certain words affect people in different ways, and there are so many ways that you can just make small shifts in the words you're using, such as the word contract is a low vibration word, whereas agreement is a higher vibration word. By tracking the vibration of each interaction you have throughout your business day, you're going to start noticing little teeny shifts that you can make to better connect and create an energy bond with your client. And then systematize your energy and connection. Add structure to your emotional blueprint. Include throughout your blueprint gratitude messages in your CRM, your workflow. It doesn't have to be a stagnant CRM system. Your communication plans can always include gratitude messages. You can create a system for sending out handwritten note cards, 5 a week. So 1 a day, you send out a handwritten note card for key milestones throughout the transaction. And then also recording videos and check-ins with genuine emotion, not about sales. Think about the entire business blueprint, not in terms of commission or money or sales. Think about your entire transaction as energy. And how do you bring your high vibration that lives within you into your business to better connect with your people? And then start measuring what matters. Look for patterns in engagement when you lead with empathy, and ask clients after, like, what part of the experience stood out emotionally for you. If you want to start receiving ongoing referrals from past clients and people who just feel like you're their person when it comes to real estate, that happens through a bonding, an energy bonding. And the blueprint is your ability to map that out so that you create that on every transaction. So that's it for today's. You can catch up on our previous versions of Quantum Sparks at layerrealty.com/Quantum Sparks. And as always, if you have a question that you want us to talk about in the future Quantum Sparks, you can go to layerrealty.com/ask anything. Thanks, everyone.